Bradleys, because obviously they're the ones that are actually engaged in battle. But the fact of the matter is, none of those things work without thousands of people both here with us in this long train that is the 3rd Infantry Division, but also back in Kuwait, back in Qatar, back at air bases all over the Middle East, on aircraft carriers and other ships out in the Persian Gulf. A lot of those people that you don't see are the ones that give this effort the possibility to make tracks toward Baghdad as they are right now. Sergeant Todd, can you hand me one of those MREs? The MREs? Basically what we're eating are things like this. This is the chicken breast strips with chunky salsa, courtesy of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And basically what you do is you open these things up and they contain a heating unit, which is actually this flameless heater right here. And what you do is you pop it inside this, pour a tiny little bit of water in, and that's how you stay nourished. As far as sleep, we had a chance to get a few hours sleep. I have to tell you that sleeping in an M88 is not your luxury hotel by any means. It's little cramped quarters, but beggars can't be choosers, and we did catch a few hours of sleep. But what they do in a vehicle like this is, I mean, in this situation with just the two of them, with just Private McLean and Sergeant Todd, one's driving and one's manning the gun, and they're only sleeping when they stop. Otherwise, you're just going on adrenaline.
But we wanted to give you an idea of what the past 28 hours have been like.
They're calling it Route Hurricane through the southern Iraqi desert because obviously this is a very fast-moving force by traditional military standards, but it's still a long train, if you will, a long convoy, thousands of vehicles. What you're looking at right now is some of these vehicles are breaking down as they roll along these bouncy roads, and so they stop and they're having to repair them. When we first crossed in, what they did was they first spent about a half an hour hitting 2 Iraqi observation posts with artillery because they needed to, frankly, wipe out those observation posts so that they could not relay a message back to Baghdad and let them know the whereabouts, the lanes that those U.S. forces were crossing in.
During the war in Iraq, history was made not only by the troops on the battlefield, but also by the way the war was covered by journalists. Thanks to embedded reporters, you got to see images of the war that you had never seen before. Our colleague here at NBC News, David Bloom, captivated millions of viewers around the world with his dramatic images and reports from the front lines in Iraq, from something that was affectionately called the Bloommobile. Craig White was David's camera person in Iraq. Bob Lapp was his sound technician, and Dennis Steele is a staff writer and photographer for Army Magazine who captured images from the war as well. Guys, good to have you here. And you have brought the Bloommobile back from Iraq.
Yes, this is the real Bloommobile.
Yeah, let's talk about that right off the bat. The Bloommobile was not the vehicle that we saw David riding on throughout the course of the war.
No, this is the real Bloommobile. This is the vehicle that we designed. It's a one-of-a-kind, never been done before. Vehicle that would take a signal from that tank that David was on and I was on and send it back to this vehicle. Bob Lapp was in it, to that antenna, and this is a special antenna that would send it up to a satellite, and it would stay on a satellite even when this vehicle was moving.
All right, you talk about the fact that you guys developed this. You know, David, journalist, you're a camera person, Bob, sound technician. How did you come up with the concept for developing something like this, because it had never been done before?
Well, this antenna has been used on ships before, so I said, why not just use it on a ship that goes across the desert, i.e. this.
All right, how long did it take to put this together?
Oh, about a month and a half total.
Bob, I mean, you can prepare, you can plan ahead, you can do all that stuff. When you get to the actual desert and you're driving behind a convoy of 3rd Infantry Division tanks and trucks, things go wrong. What went wrong with this truck during the time of the war?
Well, the problem was that I think the guys who developed the truck thought, well, it's going to be an off-road vehicle. We need to really beef up this truck, make it really stiff. Well, that doesn't jive with the dish. The dish is used to a boat that sways back and forth very easily. This truck was beating the dish up because it was everything with, you know, the desert has no roads, and we're following tanks that make big tracks in the sand, and this truck was just going slam all the time. And what it was doing, it was beating the dish up. The dish was not used to that.
As a matter of fact, at one point, I understand the thing was basically down for the count, and you found a way to fix this thing. I mean, you're thousands of miles from any repair shop here.
Yeah.
So how'd you find a way to piece it together?
Well, what it did, it was at the very first time, it smashed it right through the side of the dome. Fortunately, the Army has everything you'd ever want. They've got mechanics, they got welders, they got everybody.
Try and turn this way a little bit for me so people can see your face as well.
Okay, they hooked us up with a welder, a great, one of the great Army kids. And we just took it apart and figured out how we're going to weld it all back together.
So you spent a couple of weeks driving this thing through the desert.
Yeah.
While Craig and David were up on that tank recovery vehicle. Dennis, walk with me. Were you guys aware? Who sat here?
Nobody.
I sat there sometimes.
A couple of times?
By the way, we thought this was interesting in the desert, that we had Florida license plates.
The fact that you even needed a license plate is amazing. Didn't you get a call from Florida one time on the satellite phone?
We had phones over here that we would put out for soldiers whenever we stopped. We had all these phones in here. Soldiers could call home, but we also used them for communications. I was on this to New York. Our phones would actually be as though they were coming out of Florida. I was dialed into New York and it dropped out. Before I could redial, it started to ring. Bob said, answer it. I answered it. It was a telemarketer from Florida.
He said, I'm sorry, this is not a good time.
Yes.
Isn't that
In a
good at all?
sandstorm.
Come on over here for a second. Let me get Dennis in here also. Let me ask you, were you guys aware of the buzz this was creating back home? I mean, this was in many ways the talk of the war coverage. Were you able to get a sense for that?
They were telling us that this was fantastic, and of course our people were telling us, oh my God, you guys are great. Well, we just thought that was a slap on the back because we didn't have any sleep. Just keep going. But we didn't, people back home, because we were able to call home on this thing, they were telling us, oh my God, we're glued to the television. Said, this is unbelievable. Yeah, fine one.
Yeah. Dennis, tell me about some of the images you captured.
Well, I was privileged to travel along with these guys and borrow some bandwidth here, so this is how I got my pictures back as well, by sending them over to Blue Mobile. And so we took the combat pictures and sent them back alongside these guys, and what we're going to do is contribute to a book that NBC's doing for the embeds, the still photographs for that. We're doing a book too.
What's going to happen to the Blue Mobile now? I mean, what is the use for this technology? And now I would imagine we're showing it on TV. It'll be copied by other networks and things like that.
This was hidden while we were over there in Kuwait. We kept it away
before you actually embedded with the troops.
Away from any other news organizations because we didn't want them to copy it. We thought they possibly could. It has applications possibly over in the Olympics. The Today Show may end up using this over at the Olympics. Who knows? And someday I envision this in a museum.
Can you mass produce this sort of thing? I mean, or is this something you build one a year? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how many
what would
could
you
be
say
done.
is the
I'm sure
expense
everybody's
that
going to
went
want
into
one.
this? How much did it cost?
I think you're probably talking at close to $500,000 here.
One of the reasons the Defense Department decided to let journalists join military units as they moved into combat was that they wanted the American people to see what their armed forces could do in difficult circumstances. NBC News cameraman Craig White has been with the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Infantry Division, all the way from Kuwait. And Monday, at great risk, he gave us a terrifying and yet instructive look at the violence of one long firefight with well-organized Saddam defenders in Baghdad. First, the raw experience, and then we'll pick up Craig's narration.
You can never feel by looking at pictures what it's like to be in a battle like that. When large artillery go off, large shells, RPGs go off, it makes your teeth rattle. Fire came from all sides, 360 degrees.
That just shot me in the leg.
I was with the medical team where the wounded were brought in. One American soldier managed to shoot back while still on a stretcher. I was with a sergeant, nicknamed Black Hawk Bob Gallagher, 2 Purple Hearts. He took shrapnel on a leg. It didn't stop him. While he was being treated, he was still firing back. I believe 20 prisoners were taken. What was strange is to see Iraqi prisoners of war being treated medically the same as American. the same doctors. I took pictures of Sergeant Joe Todd and others actually going into a truck full of ammunition as the vehicle next to it was burning, trying to get it out before it blew up. We didn't win there. We took it and we moved north. We got out of there. Evidence of what happened on Monday everywhere. Spent shells, bodies, burned out vehicles. Modern warfare is not antiseptic. It smells. You feel it.
Can you stop? Pull up your shirt. Drop your pants. Anything in your pockets.
Iraqi citizens returned and tried to pick up the pieces of their lives to go to work or to go home. In another war, it could have been a mountain with a number or a beach with no name. Were it not for these pictures, no one would remember this. I'll never forget it.
NBC cameraman Craig White, always one of our best, never more so than on Monday, in his own words tonight with the third ID in Baghdad. Blinding sandstorms slowed things down today for the troops on the ground, also in the air. Sandstorms are not uncommon in Iraq, but forecasters say this one was exceptional, bringing dust and sand from as far away as Egypt and Libya. Throughout the day, NBC's David Bloom in south-central Iraq with the Army's 3rd Infantry Division was right in the middle of it. Here is some of what he encountered during the afternoon and early evening hours, the visual representation on NBC News.
The wind has been gusting here 30, 40, 50 miles an hour all day. We're in south-central Iraq right now with the 2nd Brigade of the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division. It's blowing really hard. We're all wearing these. I feel like I'm on the ski slopes in Colorado or Utah or something like that. It has really kicked up, as you can see, in the last half an hour or so here. The wind is just blowing really fiercely. I'm going to have my photographer Craig White pan off here, and you can barely see anything. The wind has really picked up in the last half hour or so, and now the visibility is virtually nil. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon here, and I'm going to break another one of these chem lights so that you can get a little bit better view of us. The sun doesn't set here for another hour to hour and a half, and yet you can't see 3 feet in front of you. What's incredible here is now it's about 45 minutes to an hour later. It's about 5 minutes after 5 o'clock in the late afternoon, and it's actually much brighter out now than it was, say, 45 minutes to an hour ago. It's definitely a function of the lights at this time of day, but it's also been the function for the last couple hours of just the wind and the sand just literally enveloping us in darkness.
NBC's David Bloom with his intrepid cameraman Craig White tonight, one of the best with the 3rd Infantry Division battling that severe sandstorm.
Nice three, partner. Jeez.
Tyee Golf Course may just be the perfect public golf course.
What did you get? 5?
It's got lush fairways, it's reasonably priced, and believe it or not,
Walsh on the tee.
you can always get a great tee time here. So where's the catch?
We've just been playing here for a number of years, and we got a group. We play every morning, got a start time. It's so hard to get on a golf course. Other than the airplanes, it's a nice little golf course.
Jets fly over the golf course and land on nearby runways about every 3 minutes. They are so close, you can almost count the rivets. But veterans of this course say that after a while, you don't even hear the jets.
When I get up here, I like to line it up and look at the breaks. Shadows up there, quite a few. And then just stroke right through the ball. I didn't hit that one quite hard enough.
You can concentrate here, you can concentrate anywhere. A lot of times I plug my ears and they go over, but I find most is the shadows. Shadows are playing a bad.
So maybe Tyee is not the perfect golf course.
God, look at that. I got the airplane.
But golfers here say you got to learn to accept a course's limitations. For example, One time, an airplane ran out of gas and crashed into the 14th green. According to the story, the foursome playing 14 declared their shots unplayable, took a stroke, and teed off on 15. John Larson, Como News 4, Tyee Golf Course.
There's my mulligan. This isn't as bad as it usually is. Usually no traffic can get through the streets. Usually a couple thousand people here, and these people don't look rowdy at all, not yet.
A crowd gathers in front of an Iraqi police station. Slowly, the people grow angry.
From what I hear, they're trying to take that Iraqi flag down.
The Iraqi flag represents everything these Kurds have come to hate. It represents Saddam.
This flag is hell, no.
The flag is hell.
No, it's no.
Back up, come on, back up.
The crowd has trapped 50 of Saddam's policemen inside their own police station. Ironically, the American military is caught in the middle, having agreed to protect its enemy, the Iraqis, from its friend, the Kurds.
So which side are we on? We're just trying to control the crowd.
I don't know. How would I feel if the Americans had just kicked our butt and then we got 4 American women out here guarding them?
3 days earlier, the crowd beat one Iraqi within an inch of his life.
If we hadn't been around, they'd probably killed him.
Twice, they stormed the building and burned the flag. But the Iraqis keep raising new flags.
Okay, what they think is there's secret police in this building. This is a Iraqi police station here. They think there's a secret policeman at this time.
The crowd presses, growing. The Americans call for reinforcements.
Back up!
And just when everything is about to break loose, the tables turn. The Peshmerga arrives, the Kurdish guerrilla army. They are the leaders of the Kurdish people, and they want this demonstration ended now. The guerrillas crush all protest as a favor to the Americans. It's a strange world, admits an American colonel. Saddam Hussein's Iraqi flag flies one more day, protected by the 2 armies in the world who hate it the most.
My audience. Here you go, sir. Watch your step. Although it's only about a 45-second ride to the 21st floor, we get a chance to talk and hear views. And
you cannot really go anywhere these days without bumping into the war. Just ask Mike of elevator number 6.
We're talking about the Persian Gulf.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's just shameful that civilized people are acting in a violent way. And
Mike heard mostly fear the first week of the war. Now he hears discussion, even argument.
Well, I have 3 nephews in the Marine and a brother who's an officer in the Army, and they're fixing to start the ground war.
That man is a community organizer. He's about to get an earful from a woman who's a U.S. postal worker.
Because the guy's a madman, and he should be terminated.
Now, the next thing you know, a freelance artist chimes in.
I just think that we pussyfoot around too much, the United States.
You can't be number one and pussyfoot around.
Well, I certainly would like to see my tax dollars spent in a better, more constructive, humane manner, you know. Since I have no say in them taking taxes out of my check.
Lobby.
All this took place on one trip to the lobby. It used to be you stared at your feet when you got into an elevator. That changed 8 days ago. John Larson, Como News 4, Seattle. The thick fog made it difficult to find the airport from the ground, let alone find it from the air. All flights were canceled or delayed by early morning, and the lines got longer. Imagine spending Christmas Eve day in this line. Now imagine spending Christmas Eve day in this line, and you're only 5 years old.
But I have this one and this one, and I've already read every single one, and it's getting boring.
Bethany Wagoner's family was stranded in Portland's airport last night. Now, like everyone else here, they're stuck in Seattle.
We're just sitting here staring into outer space. And it's really boring.
How boring could it be?
Very.
How boring?
On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. Definitely that boring. Hey, Mommy.
2-year-old Emily Gillivet, that's Emily on the chair there, sat quietly for 6 hours while flying to Seattle this morning. And now she's waited 2 more hours. Emily's had it.
Do you like waiting this long, Christine?
That's Christine Harris, age 5. And the guy coming in on the left there, that's her little brother.
This is Jacob. He just turned 1, first of the month.
Christine, Jacob, their brother Spencer, and parents are trying to get to Boise to see their grandparents. Their flight's been canceled.
You take one more bite of this and you can have some vanilla ice cream, okay?
Kids at the airport passed the time any way they could.
Spence, be very careful with your milk. Try not to spill.
Parents prayed for the fog to lift. And while all flights were grounded, someone cleared Jacob Harris for takeoff. Because Jacob had never walked before in all his life, until right there.
Hey, there they are.
In summary, the morning went like this. All flights canceled or postponed. Jacob Harris, right on schedule.
Way to go, Jacob.
John Larson, Como News 4, SeaTac. Nordstrom is putting up its Christmas decorations tonight. Ask any salesperson how they think retail sales will be this Christmas, and they'll tell you.
I think it'll be very good.
I think it's going to be good.
Of course, salespeople have to be optimistic.
Good. Hope it's going to be good.
But a national poll today said that Americans have less confidence in the economy than they've had in almost 10 years.
I think they'll still be good.
And that consumer spending, which should be growing at this time of year, is actually shrinking.
I think it's going to be good.
I was going to ask you, how do you think sales are going to be this year?
I think they'll be good. Salespeople hope shoppers will spend more this year. But everyone we spoke with outside the store tonight said they plan to spend less. Even that guy way up on top of Nordstrom's roof, getting ready to hang the Christmas wreath. So you're going to spend more or less than last Christmas? Less? Greg White is in the Navy.
It's kind of unfair to the people who you love, you want to spend money on, but you can't really afford it.
Maureen Norris says her family will cut back this year.
Or my brother and I are going to go on something for my sister, and my sister and I are going to go on something for my brother.
So to share the expense.
Yeah.
The good news, say economists, is that stores will be fighting to give you the lowest prices this year.
I think it should be pretty busy, because a lot of people have kind of waited.
So shop around, and you might find everything will turn out fine.
Pretty good, I think.
It takes $25 in cash.
A good marriage takes more than you'd think.
A valid driver's license if you have it.
It takes a little magic.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of effort. And at least one deputy court clerk.
Come in with those items. You can get your marriage license while you wait.
There are 3 clerks, 3 women, who process every marriage in the county.
This is my daughter, Tammy Hayes, and she's getting married Saturday, and I'm going to type up their license.
The clerks know there's never a cloud on the horizon for young people in love, like this Navy couple.
I just want him to be happy. I want him to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, that's really it, just to be happy.
Whoever said absence makes the heart grow fonder never married a Navy man.
It's tough. Very tough. I've been there. That's what happened to mine. That's why I'm divorced today.
In fact, of the 3 marriage clerks, all have known divorce.
Sending it by certified.
June's brother lost his marriage. Kay's son lost a marriage too.
Nothing that I really want to talk about.
But what they would all like to know is why. Why Oklahomans suffer the highest divorce rate in the country.
I don't want to get married. Been there, done that, ain't gonna do it again.
And why just 2 floors above them, those statistics get worse every year.
Objection.
Case number FD 97-1537. Stewart versus Stewart.
Do you have any plans on staying in counseling?
Yes. Now, if you're wondering what happened to the love between John and Michelle, You'll find the answer somewhere in a history of drugs and anger.
Why did the police take all your guns again?
Their divorce is final. Now they're fighting over the future of a little girl named Caitlin.
And how much more would it cost for Caitlin to have her own room?
It'd be $65 a month.
In the state of Oklahoma, there are more divorces than marriages, and politicians are discussing two revolutionary solutions: mandatory pre-marriage counseling and a 2-year waiting period for divorce.
And I couldn't understand why he had to bring the police with him to pick her up.
Will it work? Who knows? Nobody in this courtroom has the answer to the larger problem. Not the plaintiff's lawyer. Susan Adair only guesses that marriage is most difficult on those who marry young. Susan married at 18.
It was a good marriage in a lot of ways. My ex-husband is a very fine person.
Ex-husband?
Yes, my ex-husband is a very fine person.
You got divorced?
I got divorced.
The defendant's lawyer, Phil Anderson, doesn't know either.
Well, I think a lot of it is too many people get married too young. Like my wife, my current wife. This is her third marriage.
Third?
Yeah. She got married the first time. She was 15 years old. A little over a year later, she had a kid at 16.
Is this your first marriage?
No, it was my third.
As nothing is admissible prior to.
Judge Alan Couch has presided over 15,000 divorces.
Marriage is an institution. It's still a viable one. But it's the parties that didn't make the marriage work.
You ever been married?
Yes.
Work out okay?
Not yet.
Ever been divorced?
Twice.
After 3 years of marriage, a bitter year of divorce, it comes down to 5 minutes. John and Michelle must wait while the judge makes his decision. Every love story has a beginning.
Case number FD 97-1537.
This one ends
Court finds
with a mother losing a child.
that the father is awarded custody with the standard visitation.
And what happens 2 floors below with the marriage licenses and the clerks is about hope. It makes what happens here every day almost unbearable.
Now, if we can visit the council a few minutes.